Assalamu alaikum. Hello everybody. This is my very first tutorial. So today we are going to learn about phrase and clause. So let's get started. So what is a phrase? The very first thing that we should know, what is a phrase. So what different references say? That is, look at the page. Phrase, a group of words without a finite verb, especially one that forms part of a sentence, and that is the reference from Oxford Dictionary. For example, we can say the green car and on Friday morning are phrases. And these examples have been taken from Oxford Dictionary. So the basic thing, that is a group of words and without a finite verb. That means it will carry no finite verb. One more definition. Here goes the definition. A group of words that is part of rather than the whole of a sentence. This is from Cambridge Dictionary. One more definition. A phrase is a group of words which does not contain a finite verb. J.C. Nesfield. Okay. So this is one of the greatest English grammarians, we can say. So the basic thing that we can know, that is a phrase is a group of words which will have no finite verb, but it can have non-finite verbs. And also in modern grammar, some grammarians also use a single word as a phrase. A single word as a phrase. So look at the next page. What is a clause? We'll distinguish later. What is a clause? So a group of words that includes a subject. That means a group of words that includes a subject and a verb. That means a clause must have a subject and a verb. In case of imperatives or commands, sometimes the subject can be omitted and forms a sentence or part of a sentence. That is from Oxford Dictionary. So according to Oxford Dictionary, a clause is a group of words that includes a subject and a verb and forms a sentence or part of a sentence. For example, they often go to Italy because they love the food. Look, they go to Italy. They go to Italy, and this is the main clause, or this is the principal clause, or this is the independent clause, right? Because this group of words have a subject here. They is the subject, we can say this is the subject, go is the verb, and this is also finite verb. Because they love the food, this is called subordinate clause or dependent clause. Why? Because they love the food. This portion has also subject and verb, but this portion can't express the meaning properly. So this is not the main clause, or this is not the principal clause, rather this is called subordinate clause. Also we can say like this. In this part we can see there is because, and because is the connector or conjunction which is basically used to form a subordinate clause, okay, which indicates different cause. So one more definition. According to Cambridge Dictionary, a group of words, clause is a group of words consisting of a subject. That means it has a subject and a finite form of a verb. It is also the same thing. That means according to Cambridge Dictionary, clause is a group of words. A group of words consisting of, that means which has a subject, which must have a subject and a finite verb, For example, I will get you some stamps if I go to town, right? I will get you some stamps. This is the main clause, if I go to town. Here, if is the subordinating conjunction, okay, and as if has been appeared at the very beginning of this portion, so this is known as subordinate clause. And what is the main clause and what is the subordinate clause? Main clause is independent. That means it doesn't depend on anything. On the other hand, subordinate clause is dependent, is totally dependent on the main clause or the principal clause. Because if we actually separate only this portion, if I go to town, this is an incomplete sentence. This is not complete. Rather, this is incomplete. This is not totally meaningful. So a principal clause is a must to make a meaningful sentence. So we have seen two definitions in the meantime. One more definition. Look what J.C. Nesfield says. Clause. A clause is a group of words that contains a finite verb, according to J.C. Nesfield. So all these 6 definitions say phrase versus clause. What is a phrase? In phrase there will be no finite verb. On the other hand, in clause there must have the use of finite verb. In phrase there may be the use of non-finite verbs or not. There is a tick mark. That means non-finite verb can be used in phrases. Also in clause, in the same way, non-finite verb can be used or not. That means non-finite verb is not mandatory. In some phrases and also in some clauses we can see there are the presence of the non-finite verbs. Phrase works as a unit of a group. That means a group of words work as a noun, as an adjective, as an adverb, as a preposition, so etc. Clause, a shorter sentence. That means clause is a shorter sentence within a bigger sentence. We can say clause is a shorter sentence within a bigger sentence. So this is the very primary concept regarding phrase and clause. Let's see what is next. So now we have to know the difference between finite and non-finite verb. Look at the page. A finite verb has a subject, right? A finite verb has a subject. A single verb. A finite verb is a single verb if used to complete the meaning. So if in a sentence there is a very single verb or there is only one verb, the verb must be finite. If the meaning is expressed, the verb must be finite. For example, I am a teacher, I am a doctor. Here am is the finite verb. This is not an auxiliary verb, rather this is a finite verb. All the present forms, it, its, all the present forms are finite. All the past forms, it to ate, all the auxiliary verbs, if it is in present or past mood, present or past, am, is, are, was, were, this is finite verb. So look here, non-finite verb portion, gerund. We say gerund, verb 1 plus ing, which acts like a noun, right? Gerund acts like a noun. Infinitive, to plus base form of the verb. Infinitive also can be used in different ways as a subject, as an object, and also in different ways in the sentences. Participle. Participle has 3 types. One is present participle, which is consisted of doing verb 1 with ing. One is past participle and one is perfect participle. And all the participles are mentioned normally as adjectives. Most of the participles are usually adjectives. Okay. So here is the structure. Perfect participle, having plus verb 3. That means having is the present participle, have with ing, and verb 3 is the past participle. So we can say perfect participle is the combination of present participle and past participle. We can say, right? So non-finite verbs also can be said as verbals. According to English grammarians, they have suggested that non-finite verbs also can be verbals. For modals or for modal auxiliaries, there is an English grammar website. So from that website I have taken this information in these examples. Look, you will pay for that. You will pay for that. Here, will pay. Will is the finite verb. According to that websites, will is the finite verb and pay is the bare infinitive. And if there are more than 2 verbs, you should have said so. Should is the finite verb, have is the bare infinitive, and said is the past participle. Okay, so you should have said so. And there is a very interesting thing that we should know, that is, if we change the finite verb portion, if we change the subject, if we change its number, this portion can be changed, not that parts. We can say we shall pay for that. Look, will be automatically changed into shall. We can say We would have said so, but have said these portions won't be changed. In the same way, you will pay for that. This portion pay will not be changed. So, it is noticed from this information that non-finite verbs can be changed if the number and tense of the subject is changed. On the other hand, non-finite verbs cannot be changed. Non-finite verbs are usually fixed. For example, we can't change gerund, we can't change infinitive, we can't change participle. All right. So next, common types of phrases. So different grammarians, they have said phrases are of 6 types. Some suggest phrases are of 8 types. Some also suggest phrases are of 10 types. So I have collected all the types, and basically phrase is of these types. One is noun phrase, one is adjective phrase, one is adverbial phrase, one is prepositional phrase, one is gerund phrase. Also, some grammarians don't say gerund phrase because gerund includes, this is also another version of noun phrase. One is infinitive phrase, this is also another form of noun phrase. One is participle phrase, one is appositive phrase or phrase in apposition, one is absolute phrase, and one is parenthetical phrase. So these types can vary from grammarians to grammarians because there is no fixed or exact classifications. Still, some say the basic types of phrases like noun phrases, adjective phrase, noun phrase, adjective phrase, adverbial phrase, prepositional phrase, participle phrase, infinitive phrase, gerund phrase, so appositive phrase. These types of phrases are very common. Also, some say interjectional phrase. Interjectional phrase. I haven't listed that phrase in this way, but we can write here interjection phrase or interjectional phrase. Interjectional phrase. We can also say like this. All right. So let's have a look what is next. Now it's the turn. What is about the classification of clause, right? So clause is of basically 2 types according to some grammarians. Also, clause is of 3 types according to another grammarian. So I have written both the 3 types. Look, one is principal clause or main clause or independent, one is subordinate or dependent, and one is coordinate. This clause has not been mentioned in some of the books, but don't be confused here because that is not the major thing, because grammarians differ their concept on this point, so we should not be worried about this. So whatever it is, we can say clause is of basically, mainly or primarily 2 types. One is principal and one is subordinate. Look, also subordinate clause, this can be categorized into another 3 forms. One is noun or nominal, one is adjective or relative, one is adverbial. Also, adjective clause or relative clause has 2 another forms, that is restrictive and non-restrictive. All right, restrictive and non-restrictive. NB, what NB says, some important clause markers, when, how, that, etc. are used to identify the clauses properly. That means we use some clause markers. We use some clause markers to identify the clauses appropriately, right? So look, let's practice. He sings when he wakes up, right? And he sings in the morning. Look, if I say he sings when he wakes up, this is a sentence. Then when he wakes up, this is a clause, because here is the subject, he is the subject, and wakes up, this is the verb. But if I say he sings in the morning, this is a phrase, because there is no finite verb, in the morning, right? The horse runs with great speed. With great speed, this is also a phrase, there is no finite verb. Driven by hunger, he stole a piece of bread. So driven by hunger, this is also a phrase. And there is, we can see, there is past participle. We know past participle is in the chart of non-finite verb. So this is no more finite. So this is phrase, he stole a piece of bread. This is a main clause, and as this is main clause, there is the finite verb is still to stole. One more example. If you respect others, others will love you. So if you respect others, this is subordinate clause. Here is the clause marker I mentioned earlier. In identifying the clauses, clause markers are used. If is the clause marker here, and if any sentence at the very beginning there are some clause markers like this: if, unless, until, though, although, all the WH words, etc. Usually the clause is subordinate. Others will love you, this is main clause. One more example, they are hardworking and optimistic. Look, they are hardworking, this is a main clause, and optimistic, this is also another main clause. Here some parts have been omitted, like and they are optimistic, and they are optimistic, and this is main clause and this is main clause with a coordinating conjunction. So we can say this is a compound sentence, and that is the latter version which will come next. Now let's find out the finite and non-finite verb. Okay, we eat rice. Look, this is present indefinite. We ate rice, this is past indefinite. We want to buy this, we want to buy this. Look, want is the finite verb and to buy is the non-finite. And how to prove? There are some processes, there are some ways to prove this. Look, if I change the subject from we to they want to buy this, want, to buy, to buy. But if we change we to I, look, I and the tense is past, I wanted to buy this. So look, from want we have changed wanted, but to buy, that is fixed. That means non-finite verb can be changed if the subject and its tense is changed, right? Non-finite verb, finite verb can be changed if its subject and its tense is changed. On the other hand, non-finite verb is always fixed. Non-finite verb is usually fixed, it can't be changed. There is the notifications. Finite verbs can be changed if subjects and tenses are altered, but non-finite verbs are always unchanged. So I think you folks have understood this lecture, what I have talked about in the meantime. So the very basic difference between these two terms, phrase and clause, is phrase is a group of words having no finite verbs. That means a phrase does not contain a finite verb. On the other hand, a clause usually contains a subject and a finite verb, and also it has many types which will be discussed later. Thank you very much.